Good evening, Rams, and welcome to the return of Laced Up, a show made entirely by women, but it's for everyone. I'm Madeline Davis.
And I'm Ruby Kayser. We have a packed first show for you tonight. From all the updates on the female athletes dominating throughout CSU athletics to across the Pacific Ocean, where some of the best athletes in the world are competing right now in the 2022 Olympic Games. And of course, how could we not forget about our live interview with this incredible Ciera Pritchard, who's been putting in work with the Rams volleyball team to rise up as the number 3 setter in the Mountain West. All that and more on the reintroduction of Laced Up, which starts right now. To get things kicked off tonight, let's jump right into things with one CSU athlete who's shattering records left and right. That's right, none other than Lexi Keller, who's continuing to prove that she's one of the best track and field athletes in the game. Last week, the Mountain West Conference named Keller Women's Field Athlete of the Week, thanks to her stellar performance at the New Mexico Collegiate in Keller's hometown of Albuquerque. And at this hometown meet, Lexi not only won the pentathlon, but she also broke CSU's record in the event with 4,105 points, shattering the mark set by Katie Lloyd all the way back in 2007. Oh, and we're still not done yet. Keller came through to break 3 of her personal bests in 3 different events, the 60-meter hurdles, high jump, and the 800-meter, which capped off a memorable weekend to say the least for the senior superstar. Keller's scores rank first in the Mountain West Conference for this indoor season and also put her in the 5th spot all-time events for the Mountain West, as well as the 11th in the NCAA so far this winter. And surprisingly, it's only the beginning of the season. And we here at Laced Up cannot wait to see how Lexi will continue to improve upon her already record-shattering marks here at CSU.
And past what Lexi has been up to on the track, and now moving on to a sport that the Lady Rams have been excelling in recently, Rams tennis has also been crushing it on the court during their short-lived season thus far, led by new head coach Miley Tran, who's completely flipped the squad around. Just listen to this stat. Last year, the green and gold went for an embarrassing 4-6 mark overall. But so far this season, things are the exact opposite, only suffering 1 loss and even putting up a winning streak that they're still on today. And moving on to the individual side, CSU tennis player Ciera Pritchard also had one of her career highlights when she took on the Gonzaga University tennis team last Friday. The Czech Republic native faced off head-to-head against the Zags' best, Katie Broman, in a very close match. The two were neck and neck for all 3 sets, but Pritchard pulled out a win for the final 2. The home crowd at the Fort Collins Country Club went wild throughout each set for their hometown Rams, which I'm sure was a major factor towards Pritchard being able to pull out the dub. Here's what she had to say about the atmosphere on Friday. "This energy, it's maybe happened to me 3 times in my life. About 95% of it was the crowd, so this was a special moment." And after this great start for CSU on the court, their next home match won't be until April 21st. But looking on the bright side, it will be against one of CSU's biggest rivals, the University of Wyoming. So while we have over 2 months until then, let's hope that Ram fans can continue to show as much support for this team as they did for Ciera last week.
Now moving on from the court and onto the pitch, CSU women's soccer is about to change for the better thanks to a brand new addition to their squad, Taylor B. B, a Fort Collins native, has officially signed on to join the Green and Gold as a transfer from Iowa State, bringing a bunch of Big 12 experience from over in Ames, including a whopping 67 games played and 50 straight starts. Before her college career kicked off, B attended Poudre High School and was recognized for her incredible talent, which earned her many D1 offers. And with all that talent comes all of the accolades. She is a 4-time All-American Conference selection, 5-time state champion with her club team, Arsenal Colorado, and has been named the Colorado State Cup Most Valuable Player for under 18. Needless to say, she's a major pickup for this young Rams program. After things become official, B couldn't contain her excitement for being a Ram. I'm overall excited for this opportunity, she said, to play at home for such an amazing group of coaches and hopefully make some new friends along the way. Last season, CSU had some ups and downs, resulting in a 6-8-3 overall mark, including an L in the first round of the Mountain West tournament against Utah State, all the way back in November. For a team with a track record of not performing at their best outside of the fort, having an experienced and talented transfer finally provides the type of leadership that the Rams have been desperately needing on these extended road trips.
Let's switch things up and talk about some Rams hoops. In case you haven't noticed, CSU basketball is all the rage right now. So let's take a look at how the women's side of things are doing so far this season. To tip things off, the Lady Rams started out strong for the first 6 games of the season, going undefeated during the Arizona State Classic when they took on the UTSA Roadrunners in Harvard down in Tempe. However, a series of postponed and canceled games back in December caused the team to bounce between their wins and their losses and lose that consistency they had early on, resulting in a 16-7 markup to this point in the season, and leaving the Rams at an uncertain place for their next game tomorrow night against conference rival Wyoming, which will be right here at Moby. Men's hoops already took a heartbreaking loss against the Pokes earlier this year, so hopefully the Rams can avenge that L and take this upcoming border war in front of the home crowd.
And with that, don't go anywhere, Rams, because we'll be right back here with some more news in the world of CSU women's sports after the break.
Here she comes. I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast. It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true. When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client." We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to. And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into? We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. With all this cold weather, all I want to do is curl up under a blanket and escape the freezing temperatures. But this CSU club sport embraces the cold. The CSU figure skating team has just started their competition season and have a lot in store for Ram fans.
While figure skating may not typically come to mind when you think of college athletics, there are over 90 intercollegiate figure skating clubs across the country, including one here at CSU.
Yeah, so we're a sports club, so we compete on behalf of sports club, but we're also an intercollegiate team, so we compete in the U.S. figure skating intercollegiate circuit, but we're under sports club at CSU.
While these athletes may not be directly funded by the university, it does not stop them from waking up early and training hard for their upcoming competitions.
So to go to nationals, you need to be in the top 4, and so currently we're in 4th place, so we're in a really good place to be able to do well at the next 2 competitions and hopefully be able to make it to nationals. So the first competition was right after break, so a lot of people on our team don't actually have rinks to skate at when they go home. So a lot of people came back and had about 1 week to prepare after not having been on the ice for a month. So we were a little shaky at DU because we hadn't really been skating as much. So now we're really hitting the ground running for the next competition. And so just getting people back on the ice and running their programs is really what we need.
Figure skating itself may be an individual sport, but that hasn't stopped these girls from developing a strong team bond.
After competitions, it really bonds us because we spend 20 hours in a cold ice rink together, not able to leave or anything. So that whole thing really bonds us. We're all really close.
If this is your first time hearing of the CSU figure skating team and you want to come support them at one of their future competitions, you're in luck.
Our next competition is the last weekend of February, and it's going to be here at Epic. We're hosting it.
No matter the results, it is clear that these girls work very hard and truly love being on the ice together.
It's so amazing to know that the team is in a great position to go to nationals. And I just wanted to say, I think that what they're doing is like really impressive. When I was talking to Miranda, she said that some of these girls don't even have a rink at home to train at.
That's crazy. All I know is that spinning was making me dizzy. I don't know about you, but I was starting to get a little dizzy there.
I know, yeah. I felt a little reminiscent making that package, but it was fun.
Moving things from the ice, our figure skating squad here on campus isn't the only CSU club sport that's just now getting started with their season. Women's lacrosse is getting back into the groove of things, and they've gone through many hardships over the past few years. Our producer, Lee Medley, got the inside scoop on how they've been able to adapt over the course of these trying times.
While many teams and clubs have been back together since the pandemic, the Colorado State University's lacrosse team is finally getting back into the groove.
They didn't have a season last year, and there has been coaching changes. This is my first full season with them. With COVID, it's just because it's a club sport, they didn't get a season last year. So they started a little bit rusty, just not having played together. We have lots of new players. It's not only the freshmen that this is their first year, it's the sophomores, even some of the juniors. And the seniors haven't really had many seasons. So there is a lot of newness to it, but they've been adjusting well, they've been coming back and doing great.
Despite not being able to play for almost 2 years, Coach Hernandez has full faith in her team.
I have such high hopes for them. Honestly, the dedication that I see from them is so great, and it's reflected in how they play. And they come every single day to practice. They give 110%. They want to be here, and that shows in how they play. They do so well together, and I really think that they could go all the way to nationals.
With all of the ups and downs this team has faced, Coach Hernandez has only one message for Ram fans.
Just come out and watch our games. Watch how great we're going to be, and yeah, you will be impressed. Very impressed by them.
It is so refreshing to see these girls come out and be so successful despite not being able to play for almost 2 years. I've always loved women's lacrosse. I got to get out to a game this year.
Yeah, same. From what the coach was saying, they have a lot of talent. So
yeah, they look pretty good. They look impressive. We got to get out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe cover a game or two. I would absolutely love to.
Yes.
But don't go anywhere, Ram fans, because after the break, we'll dive right back into skating to give you my take on the Kamila Valieva controversy. You won't want to miss it.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But here's the thing. Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, the commitment, the drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent like me.
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans. After all of that local women's in the sports news, let's head over to Beijing for a rundown on the amazing women bringing home the gold in the U.S. for the 2022 Winter Olympic Games. To slide into action, let's first start off with Erin Jackson, who took home the gold in the 500-meter event, speed skating event, with a 37.04 seconds. Jackson also took home a historic victory, being the first Black woman to ever win the event. And this isn't the 29-year-old Floridan's first Olympics either, as she placed 24th in the Pyeongchang back in 2018. Needless to say, she definitely improved since then. What an amazing performance out of the 29-year-old.
And now, moving on to the slopes, Chloe Kim has secured yet another Olympic gold at just 21 years old. The American snowboarder shredded the mountain on the women's halfpipe for 2 consecutive Olympic Games, becoming the first woman to ever win gold twice in the event. On top of that, she also became the youngest woman to win an Olympic gold medal for snowboarding. I'm not even 21 yet, but I can only dream to accomplish what Chloe has at such a young age. She truly is a force to be reckoned with out on the mountain.
Heading back to the tracks, Callie Humphreys won it all in the monobob. Now, while this is her first gold medal representing the United States, Humphreys had previously represented Canada in the past 4 Olympic Games. But this was all before she filed complaints against her former head coach, Todd Hayes, for mental and verbal abuse, which led her to leave the Canadian program and become a U.S.-Canadian citizen, and eventually make it all the way to Beijing to win the gold. Humphreys now has 3 Olympic gold medals, more than any other woman in the sport, and I'm sure glad she's on our side now.
Now in other Olympics news, Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva has been cleared by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or CAS, to compete in the women's event despite having a failed drug test. It was revealed last week that the 15-year-old had tested positive for trimetazidine, a heart medication that is illegal to prescribe to minors. Initially, the Russian anti-doping agency, or RUSADA, suspended Valieva, but within a day the decision was overturned after an appeal from Valieva and her coach, Ateri Tupuritsa. To add on to this, in a subsequent CAS hearing, Valieva's attorney claimed that she accidentally ingested the drug while taking care of her grandfather. And following these events, the speculation was on. Andrei Zolinsk, director of the Clinical Center for Sports Medicine, said it would have been next to impossible for Valieva to accidentally ingest the drug, as the packing is in a film-coated membrane that only dissolves in the intestines. So naturally, a lot of backlash has been generated in the figure skating community regarding CAS's decision to clear Valieva, which cited that she's a minor and cannot be held responsible for what she consumes. I mean, just take it from Adam Rippon, a 2018 Olympian and now Olympic coach who went to Twitter to express his frustrations on the call, saying, "I am so angry. The ladies' event tomorrow is a complete joke. It's not a real competition, and it most likely won't even have a medal ceremony. So many Olympic experiences were stolen from clean athletes who got here without the help of performance-enhancing drugs. What a shame." And that wasn't the only former medalist that had disagreed with the decision. 2010 Olympic champion Yoona Kim also expressed her opinion on the decision, saying in an Instagram post, "Athletes who violate doping cannot compete in the game. The principle must be observed without exception. All players' efforts and dreams are equally precious." So that's what the international skating community thinks. But let's bring it back to campus to see how CSU students feel about Valieva being able to compete.
I think that her coach should really be held accountable.
She should not be taking drugs at that young of an age, so I think there's probably more of an issue surrounding that factor.
Honestly, the way it sounds, this is probably a coach problem.
Her coach should also not be able to coach anymore or be able to coach in this Olympics.
I feel like when it comes down to it, like that's still a performance-enhancing drug. It doesn't matter how old she is.
Well, if she is using sports-enhancing drugs, that does give her an advantage.
There's rules for a reason, and I think that it's really wrong to bend the rules in specific circumstances. Even if it isn't her fault, I think it's unfair to everyone else.
Yeah, I don't think it's very fair to everyone else.
Yeah.
My answer is no. She should not be allowed to compete.
If she's using performance-enhancing drugs, no.
I would say let her compete if they get rid of the coach.
But no, definitely not.
No, I do not think she should be competing and probably should see a counselor.
In response to all of this controversy, the International Olympic Committee has announced that if Valieva places in the top 3, there won't be a medal ceremony. And it looks like things will probably turn out that way, with Kamila currently sitting in first and expected to stay in that position after the free skate, which will take place early tomorrow morning. This decision is only one glance at a systemic doping issue among the Russian federations that the country has been punished for many times before. And the IOC and International Skating Union must be held accountable and take the correct procedures to shut down this Russian doping trend. I don't know about you, but I found this incredibly heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. You just think about all the dreams of these Olympic athletes that have worked so hard to get here, and to have something like this kind of dim their spirits is just heartbreaking.
I know. I have a friend who's competing in the event right now, and I can't imagine the stress it's putting on her. I mean, she's an American athlete. Like, she doesn't even really have to deal with it, but everybody has to deal with the effects of that.
Yeah, it's got to be extremely frustrating with everything going on.
I know. Absolutely terrible.
And after all that, Rams, CSU Volleyball's very own Ciera Pritchard is here with us in the studio for a live interview. Stay tuned.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry is dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Welcome back, Ram fans. Today I am joined with Ciera Pritchard, the setter for the CSU volleyball team. And before we get started with some questions, I just wanted to thank you so much, Ciera, for joining us here tonight.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, of course. So to first start out, let's just jump right into it. How did you get into your volleyball career, and how did you get where you are now?
It started when I was probably around 8 years old. My older sister, who is 8 years older than me, she was playing high school volleyball, and I went to a camp, and I was actually really bad at it. My family thought that I wasn't going to be the athletic kid in the family at all, and I had the worst time playing volleyball. I really didn't like it at first, but you know, the next camp that I went to, I started to get more into it, and eventually my parents asked me if I wanted to try out for a club team, and so I played club, and I was also the worst person on that team, but I got voted most improved that season, and then eventually I started becoming like one of the more key players on my teams as I developed, and I started out in various positions. I started out being a middle, then an outside, and then just a right side, and now I'm a setter, which is a totally different position than I started out with, like completely different. And I just think it's really cool that I went from the bottom and came all the way up to where I am now, being one of the top 3 setters in the conference, and being conference champions this season. So
yeah, that's really, really great. I feel like that's really inspiring to a lot of, young girls out there who are, looking at this, like, even if you don't start great, you can end great.
Totally. Like at camps, I will even tell little girls who are at camp who are struggling, I'll be like, hey, I used to be you. Trust me, it can get better.
Yeah, that's such a great message. Yeah, so you've been on the team for a couple years now. What's your favorite memory as a Ram?
Oh gosh, it probably has to be this last season. We went to a 5-set thriller with Oregon State at the Orange Out, and it was just amazing. The energy, the fans, being a female athlete playing in front of that many fans is really uncommon, especially in the U.S. And so having that opportunity to play in front of that many Ram fans was so cool. And then on top of that, it was a 5-set thriller. It was back and forth. Like, everybody is just exhausted. And, even the last set was like 13-15 or 16-18, something like that. The score was so close. And we came out on top, and that was just amazing.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a big moment, and I felt like that really pushed you guys in a great direction.
It changed our trajectory for the season, and I think that was a pivotal moment leading us to the conference championship.
Yeah, that's really, really great. And so, I got the opportunity to cover a decent amount of volleyball games, and I've noticed that you like to take charge calling plays during games and calling the offense. Do you feel like you're a leader on the team?
Oh, 100%. As a setter, you are the offensive coordinator. You are the quarterback of the volleyball team. And so my job is to make sure everybody knows where they have to be. We'll get players who come in who maybe aren't used to a position they're in, or are fresh off the bench. They need to know where to go. And I'm like, okay, you stand here, you stand there, and you're going to hit this, and you're going to hit that. And I call those plays based off of A, what my coaches have told me, B, what I see on the other side of the court, who's blocking against who, what matchups are good. We've got a really tall outside against a really short blocker. Let's key on that. And so as a setter, you have to really be able to notice all these things and notice them in real time as well. Like during a play, be able to use your peripheral vision to see what's going on the other side of the court and put the ball in the right spot.
Yeah, so is that, so like basic, like when I was watching early in the season, I would see you would like pull out your shirt and then you would like make like signs? Is that, like you calling the plays?
Yeah, that's calling the plays. So each player has a set of different hand symbols that apply to their position, and so I can give them that hand symbol, and that will tell them what I'm going to set them in this next play. And then there's we also use audible signaling, you know, in a play, you know, the other team sending the ball over. I can't, you know, flash a little sign to them, so I have to listen for my teammates to call for it, or sometimes they'll forget to call for it, and I have to be able to use my peripheral vision and see where they are as well.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive, and I mean, obviously it paid off. You were always, you know, way high in the assist category.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, it was very, very impressive. And so defensive players Alyssa and Alexa have graduated or are graduating this semester. How do you feel about the team filling those positions?
So this last season, we actually had 6 players in that position, and having those 2 graduate, you know, we have several players who I believe are all fighting for the ability to fight for those spots. The thing about those positions is that, you know, I'm the offensive coordinator, they're the defensive coordinators, and so I work really well with whoever is running the defense, and that's kind of our role, is that they coordinate where everyone stands for when the other team is attacking the ball, and I coordinate where everyone goes when we are attacking the ball. And so filling those spots, they are big shoes to fill, because those players are both really amazing players. But we also have really amazing players on our team right now who can step into those shoes.
That's really great to know. I mean, yeah, I definitely saw, like, from an outside view, I felt like you guys had a really deep team, and that's something that I think that, you know, us as Ram fans are really excited to see.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what legacy do you want to leave behind here at CSU?
You know, that is a really great question. And I think that the big one is being a strong and confident woman who can stand up for the right things. So not only standing up for myself as a female athlete and being able to, you know, be an example for younger athletes that, hey, you can be a strong and powerful woman, but also being able to stand up for myself, like when, things might not be going well on the court, that I can, you know, lead a team and be able to be strong and powerful and push us all in the right direction when things aren't going well.
Yeah, because this next season, this is like your senior season, right?
Actually, no.
Oh.
So this is my senior year of undergrad, but because of COVID, and I redshirted before COVID, I have 2 more years of eligibility. So I'm actually going to be doing a 2-year master's, and I'm going to be here for 6 years total. So I'm going to be here for a while. I'm going to be a grandma on the team. And so I'll be 24 by the time my senior season rolls around.
You hear that, Ram fans? She's going to be here for 2 more years. That's great news to hear. Yeah, well, we wanted to thank you, Ciera, for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us. We really, really appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, Rams, that's all the time we have for you tonight for our first Laced Up show of the semester. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night at 7 for a look into how the Mountain West race is heating up in men's hoops. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night. Okay, cool.